Most people think having premium brand visuals is about looking good, but when you're launching in a saturated space like wellness, looking good isn't enough. Your visuals need to sell. So in this video, I'm going to break down how I created 4 high converting launch visuals for Good Gummies, which is a new mushroom gummy brand launched by Finnish influencer Arran Aro, using nothing but his brief, product renders, and my AI-driven creative system. There's no models, no studio, or no photographer required, just strategy, storytelling, AI tools, and Photoshop, reverse engineered to do one thing, make people stop scrolling and buy. You'll see how I took Aaron's idea from concept, mood board, AI generation, and final composite, all while aligning every single shot to his brand, vision, and customer. If you're new to this channel, my name is Josh, and I'm the founder of Dreamers, and with over a decade worth of design experience, I help brands create visuals and ad creatives using AI, creative direction, and deep market research to make customers stop scrolling and want to buy. And if you stay to the end of the video, I'll let you know how you can get my system I use to create prompts for my visuals. So yeah, let's get into it. So these are the visuals I made for Good Gummies using AI and Photoshop. So the first visual I made was a gummy being bit by a woman with pink lipstick on. The second being of a man putting a gummy in his mouth. The third being a hero shot of the 6 mushrooms surrounding the product packaging. And the last one being the woman having 3 of the gummies in between her fingers with the matching the pink nail varnish. Let's give a background. So Arran Aro is a fitness influencer approached me on Twitter because he found my work and really liked it, and he needed about 4 visuals for his brand's launch, which was about like a month away. And we just spoke in the DMs, and then I sent him over a Google form which had about 10 questions for me to understand, I guess, his vision and his direction, and just to understand, where his brand was at in terms of brand identity, who his customers were, etc., and what he wanted to communicate. From here, I was able to narrow this down and make some notes, which for this video, I've just condensed it into the dream customer, brand identity, and key messages. So the dream customer is someone who's a health conscious millennial or Gen Z who has ADHD or ADHD-like behavior, who wishes to increase their focus and energy without sacrificing flavor and fun. Normally supplements are quite boring to take. They're not in a pill or capsule format. So having a brand that's just playful and fun for these type of people is gonna appeal to them, which ties into the brand identity. Wanted something that was playful and premium, something that was confident and fresh, youthful, bold, vibrant, stylish, and social first, which I feel like this audience definitely would resonate best with, especially if you want to stand out in the market for something that is normally seen as quite boring. And the key messages they wanted to communicate was it to be, real functional benefits. So rather than it just tasting good, it needs to also do that. You must needs to have benefits, which it does with 3 to 6 mushrooms for focus and energy. Yeah, I put it over here, feel good and taste good, and also it needs to be gummies but grown up. So it's gummies, it's sweets. Of course, people associate gummies and sweets as being for kids, but in this way, we want to make it seem as if it's not necessarily for kids, but it's for people who are, adults who have got busy lives or young professionals who just want to be able to focus and be more productive in the day to day. Now, going into the next stage, it was about taking all of this research and then creating a mood board from this. And the first step I like to do, which helps me to, I guess, find images, is to go on ChatGPT and help to generate search terms, which I can then use on websites such as Pinterest to find inspirational images. Now, I've spoken about this in my last video, but what I do is I get this ChatGPT prompt, and it just basically gets all my research about a brand identity and customer profile, and it basically tells me what the best search terms or keywords are to use in order to find the best images in terms of product shots and lifestyle imagery that I can use to, yeah, align with the brand, evoke the right emotions, capture the audience's attention, just basically get them to act and just resonate with them. From here, I've got these different search terms. I've got general product photography, and I've got lifestyle centric visuals, and I then combined that with my own search terms, which I normally use to start searching on the likes of Pinterest. So when it comes to searching on Pinterest, I just, use the search terms, and these are the different components I like to look out for in the visual to make sure that um, I'm creating a visual that actually resonates with a brand. For example, I look at the setting, the shots, the lighting, the colors, models, composition, props, camera angles, textures, etc. So just anything I see in the search results that I feel could be relevant to the brand and could actually evoke the right response I want from a brand's customers, which I then narrow down and put into a Pinterest board over here. And I also added some of his inspirational brands that he wanted to try, not replicate, but kind of learn from, such as Space Goods over here. Now, once I've done all that and I put it in a Pinterest board because I was searching on Pinterest, I did actually transfer this over to Kive because I found it's easier to combine different images from different sources. For example, I used Cosmos. He also sent me some images as well that he liked. Well, he sent to me in initial form anyway. And I just combined everything together, and also just made it easy for me to for him to give me feedback in terms of just like, for example, ticking this over here. If you want to just use Kive.ai, I think that's the website. Yeah, Kive.ai, create boards like this over here in case you want to use it. But using Pinterest is fine to organize it. It's just about personal preference, pretty much. But anyway, I gave him the mood board link, and he said it was perfect, which was great, and was spot on for what he was searching and the vision he had in mind. And from there, I had the confidence to move forward to narrowing down what images I wanted to replicate and create visuals for the Gummies. So you see over here, I've narrowed it down to 4 visuals, which we both agreed on. So again, as mentioned in the beginning of the video, he wanted a visual of a woman biting the gummy, a man eating the gummy. He wanted fingers pinching 3 of the gummies in between, like this. And he also wanted a hero shot of all 6 different mushrooms with the product as the hero. So these are all the bases I used, and I had to then replicate it to align with the brand identity and also make sense to their customers, and also help to evoke that right emotional response. Now, it came down to developing these using AI. Now, what I do, which I mentioned in my previous video, is something called asset hacking, which is just basically getting an image and running it through Midjourney GPT, which I made. And if you want this, feel free to DM me, either on Twitter or LinkedIn, Instagram, email, and I can send it over to you. No stress at all. But what it does is that it breaks down an image into different components such as photography style, subjects, supporting objects, background, colors, lighting, camera details, composition, texture, etc. And this helps you to create the most photorealistic images possible. And it just basically uses terminology from a photographer's point of view. Now, for these 3 images, I use Flux instead of Midjourney, and Flux is an AI image generation tool. And I found this to be better for aesthetics when it comes to human beings. Like the images look way more realistic, and it's better with hands. Obviously, with ChatGPT 4.0, its update with image generation, it has changed the game quite a bit. But for this project, this was way before any update like this happened. So you probably could do this with ChatGPT 4. Not necessarily tried it, but for this process, I'm just going to show you how I used Flux to do this. And you see over here, this image over here, I just cropped that. I didn't get this in there. I just got that part of it, and I was able to break it down into this, but then I just changed it to be relevant to the brand, such as using a female hand, it being 3 purple gummy candies, and we'll get into this. The subject doesn't really matter in terms of the gummies because we're going to edit that on Photoshop. We'll get into there. And I made sure, the hand matched the color of the actual woman in the original image. Not original image, the actual end image. And done it for all these 3. And I run it through Flux. Now, to run Flux, you have to go on a website called file.ai, which is basically, it's like a website whereby you can run different AI models, especially for image generation, video generation, etc. And instead of paying a subscription, you can just top it up with credit, and you can just run it, and you get charged per cent, or just run, sorry. And you see over here, I've generated multiple images. Some of it does look really weird like that. I don't know what that is, but it's a bit of a trial and error when it comes to creating on it. But you would want to use the Flux Pro V1.1 Ultra. I'm just going to show you how quickly I did it. So you write the prompt in there as usual. I'm just going to for example, get this prompt, paste it in there, and then you want to just make sure you select the number of images you want. I'm just going to leave that as 1. Output PNG, aspect ratio 1:1, and put that as raw because it's better for photorealistic images. And as you see on the bottom, it costs 6 cents to run per image, so it's pretty cost effective if you just want to get a couple of images which are for humans rather than going on the likes of Midjourney or ChatGPT 4 to do that. It takes a bit of time, runs. You see over here, it's generated an image just like that. Obviously, it's not perfect in terms of the nail and some of the background over here, but it does help me give a base, and with a couple of runs, you can get something pretty good. But yeah, I did it for the man with a gummy in his mouth, and the woman with the gummy between her teeth. And obviously, the sweet doesn't really matter because we're going to edit that on Photoshop, the same as the sweet over here. So nothing needs to be done there. Now, for this image of the hero image, where the 6 mushrooms, I didn't generate this on Flux or Midjourney. Well, I did in Midjourney, but I didn't generate the whole entire image using AI. I actually generated all the 6 different mushrooms first in Midjourney, and I kept the prompt very, very simple for this. And what I just did is, if I just go to Midjourney right now, I just wrote the prompt, and then I just got a reference image from Google just to make sure that it was actually a legit image. Because sometimes on Midjourney, if you just say describe a mushroom, for example, that's quite like not niche or unique, but just a bit different, it gets it quite wrong. So I just wanted to go on Google, find a reference image of the actual mushroom I wanted, and added my add a very, very simple prompt, which is just the ingredient, extract ingredient. I put extract twice for some reason, but anyway, I selected on the white background, and then I used style raw and profile as in my personalization code. Which if I just go over here, looks like that, and then I just uploaded the image and just kept it on the canvas. And I did that for all 6 mushrooms. And what the plan was to then get all of this and then edit it on Photoshop. Now the next step is photo manipulation, which I've talked about in my previous video, and this is the big step to break everything come together. With ChatGPT 4, I feel like Photoshop, it still has a role, but it isn't as important. But I feel like having Photoshopping skills to make these things more, I guess, accurate and give you more creative freedom is very, very powerful. So I definitely recommend if you just want to learn the basics, just to kind of do some of these type of stuff. If ChatGPT 4 or any image generation tool doesn't give you what you want in terms of the final polished version you had in your head. So if I just go to the before, this is just images I generated before, and this is how it looked like after. And I'm going to go into Photoshop in a bit and show you how I did it. Same as this one, I, for example, put in a tank top, and I also changed the suite to be the actual suite from Good Gummies, and I also added the branding as the background. Then for this one, just going back to it, because I didn't do that, I just removed the finger over there because it looked a bit weird, as in the background, and I added the actual Good Gummies background branding like I did for the second one. I just changed the suite pretty much to be all the gummies, let's say, to be the actual one compared to this one. And finally, I just replaced this gummy with the actual gummy. So nothing too difficult, pretty straightforward. Now, when it came to the actual main gummies, Hero Shop, I got all the 6 gummies you see over here, places in the middle. I just organized it in a very visually appealing way, balanced way. And yeah, I just had to make it in a way whereby the product still shows and the packaging of it is still strong. And I added some shadows, highlights, lighting, just to make sure everything had a bit of depth and it kind of stood out. And I also added the branding in the background. Now going to Photoshop quite quickly, and I'll just show you some of the layers for the finger, just because to show you my thought process. So start off with this, as you know, but then I removed the main parts of the gummies using the what's this adjustment? Let's forget layer mask, and then I just decided to add some layers onto it. So as you can see, I'm just going to go through these layers. It might look a bit weird at first, but you'll get what I mean in a second. But what I just did is I started to add all the gummies into the scene. So there, there, and there. And it just covers it, which is great. And then I just started to add some shadows and like lighting, highlights, etc. to make it look a bit more realistic, as you see over here. And added some shadows on the bottom of the finger, contact shadow, and the same on the top. I just pretty much just did it for all of the gummies. Added some lighting, make it look a bit more indulgent. And that's pretty much it. So just using curves to darken it on the top and on the bottom, and then using more of the curves but the lighter version of it to add some lighting on the top of it over here to kind of make it look more juicier and look more realistic rather than it just being plain. Just add a bit of texture, which is really important. And in the end, I added the background to add some branding, and I just added some, I guess, final tweaks such as color lookups and blurs, etc. And yeah, color lookup just basically a way to kind of tie everything together with color. And yeah, that was pretty much it for the fingers one. I won't go through the other ones because it will take a bit of time for this video, but the same process uh, applies. You just basically get the gummy and you just replace it in the scene. You just add lighting, shadows to make everything come together. And if you want, I can actually make a video on how to do this. If you guys want it, just let me know in the comments and I can actually start to make a video around that. But obviously with the new ChatGPT update, I need to just really think about how much Photoshop is still heavily in the workflow. Right now, I'm using it less and less and less, but it's still important and it's just good for those little touch-ups that you need to do when creating visuals. But yeah, that is pretty much it. So if you're an e-commerce brand who's interested in some premium high converting visuals to use for your landing page, your product page, your social media, email marketing, or you want some static ads for your brand, then book a call with me below. I'll be able to help you do this using a combination of AI and human creativity and creative strategy and creative direction. Or if you want any of the resources I've mentioned in this video, such as my Midjourney GPT bot or just any of the Pinterest search terms prompt, then feel free to DM me on Twitter, LinkedIn, or Instagram, or send me an email at josh@gmail.com. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace.